Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are continuing on the Glutos, the Palanquin model kit. And today we're going to be focusing on Lashmaster Vhyssk, V-H-Y-S-S-K, whatever. Alright, I'm not even going to show assembly of this model because it's only like 5 parts. It's pretty straightforward and simple, it's not complicated. I'll assemble it up to the point where painting would get in the way, and in this model only the head would get in the way because the metal's next to his face, it'll ruin things, so his head is the only part that's going to be disconnected. And once everything is done, we're going to prime our model with Bright Touch Car Primer. And now with Balor Brown, Kislev Flesh, and Pallid Witch Flesh, we're going to paint the skin first, since it's the deepest part in the model and it'll be very hard to paint it well afterwards. So with Balor Brown is going to be our base layer. And once that is done, we're going to take Kislev Flesh and we will carefully dry brush it all over the model. Now, I accidentally forgot to get footage of me dry brushing Pallid Witch Flesh, but I'll show the results here. And it's a little too overpowering. What I should have done was done a 1-to-1 mix of Kislev Flesh and Pallid Witch Flesh. So we're going to fix this. So with Seraph Sephium and Lamian Medium, because it's clear, we're going to do a 1-to-1-ish mix, and we're going to apply it. Actually, no. We're going to do a 2 parts Lamian, 1 part Seraph Sephium, and a bit of water, and we're going to apply around 2 coats all over the skin. This didn't have the effect I wanted. It added some shadow and depth into the model, so there's one commenter who's going to be a bit happy with that. But it didn't add a flesh color to the white. It didn't seem to work on those. So what I did was I went back with Kislev Flesh and I watered it down quite a bit so that it's close to a wash, and I just re-highlighted everything with the brush. And with this wet down Kislev Flesh on top of the layer of Pallid Witch Flesh, it blended down the color of the Pallid Witch Flesh a bit, it toned it down, it smoothed things out. And I'm beginning to really notice that with very light, white, bright colors, they dry brush very poorly. Now with Xerxes Purple, Nuln Oil, Genestealer Purple, and Emperor's Children, we're going to paint his robes. We're going to start off with a base layer of Xerxes Purple all over his robes, his upper shirt collar thingy, and his pants. And once that's done, we're going to take Nuln Oil and apply it all over the model. I then start highlighting the model again with Xerxes Purple. I've covered basically around 80 to 90% of the model pieces, except for the deepest, darkest recesses, with Xerxes Purple. But it wasn't that clear or good enough, so I was like, meh, screw it, and then went to dry brushing instead. And once that was done, I then went to Genestealer Purple and I just dry brushed that on as well. I then go and I dry brush Emperor's Children on it, and that didn't work too well. Like I said before, the lighter the color, the worse it dry brushes. I don't know why. I should have done a mix, like a 1-to-1 mix with Emperor's Children and Genestealer Purple to fix it, but this was too much. I then decided to try to fix it by applying Nuln Oil all over the robes again. This, it didn't really work. It made the recesses bigger than they should be. I then take watered down Gene Stealer purple, like watered down like to the consistency of milk, sort of, and then I just draw, I do feathering on the large wide open areas and straight lines on the folds. And this tones down the Emperor's Children underneath and fixes it. And now with Eshin Grey, Nuln Oil, and Dark Reaper, spoiler, I actually do not use Eshin Grey. After I took this picture I decided, you know what, I'm going to skip that step. I then actually go straight to Dark Reaper and apply it all over his boots and his stomach, chest, corset thingy. Yeah. And once I do that, I take Nuln Oil and apply it all over the boots and his corset thing shirt. Once that is done, I then go back with Dark Reaper and I apply it on all the upper raised areas. The Nuln Oil will do a great job of showing you where that is. And now with Hoeth Blue and Beeltan Green, we're going to paint the tassel on his head. On the box art, it's like a turquoise green kind of thing. So to try to mimic that, I take Hoeth Blue and apply it all over this tassel. And then once that's done, I then take some watered down Beeltan Green and apply it on it. With the blue under base, it looks a bit turquoise. And then I decide, I'll just add just a little bit more, so I do another layer of watered down Beeltan Green. Now with Agrax Earthshade and Ulthuan Grey, we're going to do his eye. He only actually has one visible. So we're going to start off with Agrax Earthshade and we're going to tap it right into his eye, and then we will take a brush and then just like drain out the excess. We just want his eye to be shadowed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take Ulthuan Grey and we're going to water it down close to like the consistency of milk, and with a very tiny brush we're going to tap directly into his eye. When the paint is that thin and watered down, it flows much easier, and we're not going to brush, we're just going to tap directly in his eye, and it sort of fills it out, and you tap around the area to paint it up and it'll fill the recess that is his eyelid. Now for his pupil, we're going to take a micro pen, a 0.25mm micro pen. This one is black, for black eyes, or black pupils. And so in real time, I'm going to show how it is. So I've already painted his eye, because I really need a close-up and focus. I can't risk doing it on camera from a distance. So I'm going to basically reenact what I do, is where I find the spot, I aim it directly towards it, and I move the pen in and do small little taps back and forth until it makes a good sized dot. And that's how I do his eye. And now with Eshin Grey and Nuln Oil, because I forgot to paint it earlier, we're going to paint the leather whip straps that he has. So with Eshin Grey as a base layer, and then we're just going to apply Nuln Oil. I kind of forgot I was supposed to do an overbrush or like a dry brush of Eshin Grey afterwards. Just FYI, do it on your own. And then with AK Interactive Ultra Matte Varnish, we're now going to paint absolutely everything. We're going to coat the entire model in this of whatever we painted. All the non-metallic steps have been done, so once this is done, we will move on to metals. And now with Liberator Gold and Stonehorst Silver, we're going to paint the gold. We're going to take Liberator Gold and we're going to paint it all over like that metal collar thingy around his metal hat, parts of his weapon, and like this gold ring he has on his right arm, as well as this buckle on his stomach. And then we're going to take Stormhost Silver, and we're going to apply slightly different techniques when doing this. So for the edges, we're going to edge highlight. We're just going to get the edge of the brush and apply it back and forth until it leaves a mark onto the sharp edges. There's a bunch of those. We'll also be doing overbrushing onto a lot of the details on his weapon. Basically, it's like dry brushing, except it's not dry. It's just there's not that much paint on it, and this will get all the fine details on his weapon. And as far as belt buckle, we will also do overbrushing a little bit. And for the ring and for the symbol on his belt buckle, what we're going to do is we're going to have very little paint on it. To ensure that you have the right amount of paint, you just take your brush and like touch it onto a paper towel and it'll suck up the excess. And you're going to go to the spots and you're going to do tiny little taps with the side of the brush on it, and it's going to leave a small amount of paint. It's going to be the right amount and you're not going to spill over. So use the paper towel to control your flow, and then just tap 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 on the very fine points you want. And now with Iron Warriors, Iron Hands, and Stormhost Silver, we're going to paint the regular metal pieces that he has. So for the ends of his whip thing, his bracelet, and the circular ring that's on his weapon, we're going to paint with a base layer of Iron Warriors. And once that is done, we're going to go back with Iron Hand Steel, and we're just going to overbrush onto the metal pieces so that the raised areas, basically we're covering 80 to 90% of the metal pieces with Iron Hand Steel. And then when that's done, we're going to take Stormhost Silver and we're going to overbrush again, do like 50% of the upper raised areas of the metals with Stormhost Silver. Don't forget the bracelet on his wrist, as well as he has some earrings and some circular piercing thingies on his hat. I don't know how to describe it, they have weird fashion. And now we're going to take Dawnstone and we're going to apply it to this little flask thingy he has on his hip. And now with Liquitex Gloss Varnish and the Army Painter War Paint Anti-Shine Matte Varnish, we're going to paint a few things on this model. We're going to go with Gloss Varnish and we're going to apply it all over his leather boots and that corset thing he's wearing, as well as the flask on his side. And then once that's done, we're going to take the Anti-Shine Matte Varnish and we're just going to apply it onto his whips. They'll be a little reflective, but not that reflective. Now with some model glue instead of super glue, we're going to place a tiny dot onto the top part of his neck head. The reason why I'm not going to do it with super glue is because I need to sort of maneuver it once I place it onto position just to get it right. And with super glue, that'll ruin it, so I need a little bit of work time to get it right. And so I use model glue for this one. And he is done. He was a very simple and quick model to do. I did him in 2 sittings. It would have been 1 sitting, but I got bored and then I got distracted. So I finished I did all of his model and then the medals on a 2nd sitting. But basically this is a very simple, quick model. The skin turned out pretty well. His metal turned out really well. I really like his face. Oh, there were a few things I did afterwards, a bit behind the scenes with his face. I basically just took the Ulthuan Grey and just applied it onto his teeth, and then his mouth I filled with just a little bit of Guilliman flesh to make it stand out more. But he's got that nice crazed look. I think it fits his character, or at least what character, he gives off. He literally whips the guys in the front all the time, and they all have their scars because of him. So overall, this was a very quick, simple model. He's one more piece done for this model kit. Yeah, as far as my work goes, I'm actually... Honestly, I did a lot of things right. His skin turned out really well. His metals look great. His leather pieces look great. His weapon looks great. His face, the expression and everything turned out great. I was able to fix it. His clothing, I added too much Nuln Oil. That 2nd coat kind of ruined it, but he looks like a very good piece of this pie, and he's going to blend very well in. He's going to add to the model kit. I'm going to say a straight up 8 out of 10. Simple, sweet, easy. Alright, like the video if you like the video, comment if you want to comment, nitpick if anything you want to nitpick. I'm fine with nitpicks. Share the video if you want to share it, and more to come soon. Bye.